This is Ijikadi, Afrikan Martial Arts, guys. So we are super excited today. This is our Warrior in the Spotlight segment. I'm super excited here. I have our dear brother, Mfundishi, Khalil, Maasi, who is in the building today, in the house now. If you guys have not, heard of this brother, we're going to learn about him today. He's going to tell us his background, his story, because really what we want to do is highlight the warriors that are doing the work, right? And for decades have been doing the work and putting in the effort. So real quick, I'm gonna have brother Maasi introduce himself, but I do want to read his bio as well. So brother Maasi, if you just want to give us a quick intro before I read your bio, sir, and we'll jump right into it.
Hey, no problem. Peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Mrithi Mfundishi Khalil Maasi. I'm the son of Shaha Mfundishi Maasi, and who was the founder of, or the co-founder of the Pan-Afrikan Martial Arts Federation.
Awesome, brother. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but we're going to jump right into the bio here, and certainly feel free to chime in here or elaborate on anything. But you got quite an extensive bio, brother, so I was very surprised to see. I'm trying to work on my bio to get it this long, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. Mfundishi Khalil Maasi, a.k.a. Awo Sangolati Awotunde Karade, is the son of legendary martial arts grandmaster, Black Power, and Black arts movement icon Shaha Mfundishi Maasi. Khalil Maasi was raised in the martial arts since 5 years of age. That's amazing, right? Initially under the tutelage of his father, Khalil began his training in the Burmese martial art of Bando. Khalil has cross-trained in various systems of martial arts and martial-related practices. That is phenomenal. Just to start that young, first of all, I'll be honest with you, I'm like, whoa. Khalil primarily teaches through his family system, MFSI, Maasi Family System International. MFSI is a system of systems. The centerpiece of training of MFSI is human growth potential, physically, mentally, and energetics-wise. Moyo Kazi, using Dikisha Ngolo self-healing power to tap into the inherent life force in human beings to utilize and revitalize themselves using their own natural self-healing power. This is done by using ancient and traditional methods as well as new knowledge in a manner that is easy to understand and accessible to people of most ages, physical abilities. The training consists of meditation, breathing, gentle, low, and no impact movements, postures, and visualizations, among other techniques. Think of Tai Chi and standing yoga with martial art application as well, right? In addition, Khalil has appeared with his father on Aaron Banks' World of Martial Arts on ABC Wide World of Sports at 9 years old. That's phenomenal. He has also studied and cross-trained in various systems of martial arts such as Bando, Lethwei, Muay Thai, Capoeira Angola, Qigong, Minzin, Danda, yoga, Kemetic yoga, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, and submission grappling. That's a lot. In the martial arts, Khalil has competed on a national level and has medaled and finished in the top 3 in the nation in the Bando Nationals kickboxing and middle style tournaments. So that means this brother is applying it. He don't just talk the talk, he's walking the walk as well, right? And middle style tournaments on multiple occasions. Some of the highly respected teachers Khalil has trained and mentored trained and mentored with are his father, Shaha Mfundishi Maasi, Nanganga Mfundishi Tolo Naa, Mesfe Jao Grande, Sayangia, Carl Beeman, Ahati Kalindi Ili, okay, Osho Tayari Cassell, and boxing coach Tex Gonzalez at the East Orange, New Jersey, PAL. Now, feel free, brother, please help me on the pronunciations. Anyone's name I mispronounce, say again.
That's all good.
Yeah. Please feel free to chime in and correct me on that. I apologize and mean no disrespect to any of our grandmasters here. So for the past few decades, Khalil has devoted his studies and to research and study of African diaspora martial arts and history through his father's organization, the Pan-Afrikan Warrior Arts Federation and teaching his father's meditation and martial arts system, Moyo Kazi. Khalil uses the practices of meditation and martial arts to help people reach their greatest human potential. Now, you know, just to give a little bit of background to my audience, so I first met Brother Khalil actually through his work in promoting and you know, his father's system, right, the Moyo Kazi, and you know, because he, you know, put it on Facebook, right, just, you know, in Facebook that, hey, he's got a program called Lessons from My Father. And this was last year, and I said, you know, I need to tap into this and find out exactly what this is, you know, because to me, when I heard you put out like Lessons from My Father, I'm like, you know, one, I don't hear a lot of people talk about like, you know, lessons that they received from their parents, right? Usually it's like, oh, I got a teaching from some grandmaster somewhere, you know, that I want to pass on. But you know, I'm like, what is it that your father passed on that was so important to you and made such an impact to you that you carried that torch even still today? And I was very much surprised when I jumped online and trained with you, you know, for hours. It was, you know, and it was phenomenal. And just to take that time to, you know, center and come to my breath. So there's a lot I want to jump into, you know, but you know, kind of off the jump, you know, just curious, you know, as far as what's your experience been like in the martial arts, that particularly the Alkebulan, Montu, the African martial arts, you know. Now granted your father had a major influence, you know, on you in that regard, and we just read your bio, but I mean, what's that experience been like for you?
Wow. No one's ever asked me that question before. That's deep. Wow. Because it's an ongoing experience. And you know, I grew up in the martial arts. You know, I say in my bio, I started training at 5, but I was in the crib, in the dojo. You know, at that time, that's what we were doing. And you know, so that was my worldview, my vision. You know, one of my earliest memories, very earliest memories is my father holding me in his arm in the basement of our house while he had one of his students lay down and put an apple on his throat and cut it off his throat.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that was the high level of skill he had, particularly during the time and the era that he came into the martial arts. He was of that pioneering era in America when the traditional martial arts were coming here, even though martial arts was already here. It's that pop, that golden era, that boom that happened. And prior to that commercial boom, those who bought the martial art here were in the military.
Right.
You know, they served overseas in places like Korea and Vietnam and Laos. And my father was in Laos where he started his martial arts journey when he went into the military. And he came home and continued that journey, and he achieved a high level of excellence that made him very well known during the time he was alive, particularly his earlier years. And you know, and it was very influential on me, my worldview in terms of manhood. You know, in terms of what a man was, in terms of walking through the world. You know, and how you carried yourself, how you did not allow your fear to overtake you. You know, how you what type of character you had, things of that nature. So yeah, it's had a very that's a that's a great question. That's a very big impact on me to the point that I carry his name now and continue his legacy. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And the reason I asked that question, because a lot of us come from a more of an Asian martial arts background, right? When we study Kung Fu, karate, Taekwondo, or even now with Muay Thai and MMA, it's still very much an Asian-centered background. And so it's very rare where you meet somebody who comes up more so in more of the African-centered martial arts. It's very rare. And the other aspect I find interesting with your story is it's a shared story with a lot of, you know, Alkebulan Montu practitioners and warriors. I think of Baba Balagoon Ojitade down in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
the same kind of thing, right? Where he learned from his father. I think about our dear brother who just recently passed away, Brother Diallo
Mm-hmm.
Frazier, who also was heavily influenced, from his father. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just incredible to me that the role that fathers play in the development of their sons,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the generations. And I don't think we emphasize that enough. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's powerful. Also, let me make sure we mention. Excuse me, I have a raspy voice. Started to develop my father's voice too. Let's mention also Brother Ramasui, Akir Ramasui, son of a Hati Kalindi, who is carrying on his father's work, and Mrithi and Mfundishi Siraj Talona, my father's partner, co-founder of the Federation, who is carrying on his father's work. So there are many of us who are continuing the tradition, who are blood and physical sons, but there are many also who are spiritual sons who are carrying a father also. You know, yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Now, so with regards to that, right? Given that there's all these folks who are carrying on the work, I mean, why do you think folks don't know as much about, or African martial arts is very much kind of unknown or not as prominent as some of the other forms of martial arts, and how do we change that?
How do we change people's knowledge base of ours? Man, we just have to continue to promote it and do it. Yeah, it's we got to do us. We have to
That's right.
support us. I mean, and don't get me wrong. The federation is composed of primarily people who are either African or African-centered in their martial arts. But there are many people who are coming from other backgrounds of martial arts too, and that's still valid because I believe train, no matter what you can get your hand on, it's not easy to get to the
That's right.
African martial arts, you
That's
know.
right.
So you got to train, and you step by step, you find out who you can get with, get some information, add it on. If you can get with someone who you can find as a teacher, and you get up under their wing, and that's where you get your information from. Cool, but if not, get out here, interact with people, get your knowledge, get your information, and start to build. Because that's how the earlier pioneers did it. They came from an Asian martial art background and began over time to accumulate information and network and such forth like that. So now there's a wider pool of information out here, so it's not as hard to get the information. Yeah.
So on that note, I mean, tell us more about the Pan-African Martial Arts Federation and kind of your work. Like, are you teaching? Do you have a school, classes? I mean, what tell us more about that. Like, because I don't know if folks want to come and train with you, or
Yeah.
how do they access that?
Well, first let me say this also. We're coming up on the 40th anniversary of the official 40th anniversary. It actually was going on prior to that. I would say 5 to 10 years. If I remember, I was a child. I was young. I wasn't that young at that point, but when it was official, the first official meeting that was chartered was in East Orange, New Jersey, 1985. And so we are on that year, the official 40th anniversary of the Pan-African Martial Arts Federation. So the federation was formed to research, study, and train and disseminate the information, and preserve the information regarding our African and our Black, lack of a better term. I know people debate over that, but I'm just going to use certain terms right now.
Sure,
Our
sure, sure.
African and our Black collective martial history around the planet, not just Africa, but wherever people of African descent went and were involved in the history of warrior martial culture history. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
Now,
so,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
oh no, I was just, and so, yeah, and so that being said, we are my associates and I, the sons of Hati Kalindi Nganga Talona, as well as our elders, also Tayari Kassel and Fadishi Shahut Miz and Fadishi Bakari. Uh, we are working on rebranding the corporation and bringing it back out in 2025. And we have a host of things that we're working on and doing that we're going to be announcing in the near future. But yes, we all teach. We do workshops. We do classes. I primarily teach in one-on-one, or I do workshops, classes, or I work with community centers, things like that. I don't do the traditional walk-in,
Yeah,
the door
schools.
commercial pool type thing, or we do closed door trading. That's how I do. But everyone has their own model and what they follow. But yes, we're all open for business. Yeah.
No, that's phenomenal, and I just don't know if a lot of people know that, right? I mean, if a lot of people know that, and
Mhm.
as far as how to access that, I think that's
Yeah.
been one of the challenges is
Mhm.
accessibility to
Mhm.
African martial arts, and
Mhm.
like even in my case, for example, I mean, you have like capoeira that
Mhm.
there's usually capoeira somewhere around, in
Mhm.
most
Mhm.
cities, major cities. But even like 52 blocks, that's becoming more prominent now.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's very difficult to find, any sort of African-centered, combative system or martial art. And so I think it's just
Mhm.
accessibility and just
Mhm.
knowledge base, so
Yeah. 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 I think you're going to find more online. You go online, tap in. Particularly if you're in the East Coast, West Coast, certain spots around the country, Chicago area, you can find more of a proliferation of people who are engaging in African martial arts, uh, uh, or African diasporic martial arts, or African synthesis. These are the various derivations of
right.
you know, and so, but yeah, and there are other areas where it's very rare. So that's where you go online, pull information. But capoeira you can find just more about anywhere. I've Google searched and found capoeira in some places you can think of. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, are you in New York, or where are you kind of located? If folks,
I'm in
want to
Jersey.
do a
I'm in,
private
I'm
session.
in the North New Jersey area. I'm in
Okay,
Newark, New
Newark, New
Jersey.
Jersey. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
New
got you,
York,
got you.
North Jersey. I'm in that New York, New Jersey tri-state area. I'm right there. Yeah.
Okay, okay, awesome. Yeah, so anybody who's watching, who's tuning in, definitely hit up our brother, right, for training, and we'll want to make sure we get your whatever contact information or anything that folks can reach out to you, whatever the best way to reach you. We want to
Absolutely.
make sure we put that out as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want me to say it now?
Go for it.
Mfundishi Khalil Maasi at gmail.com. Very simple.
Very
Mfundishi
simple.
Khalil Maasi at gmail.com, or Khalil Maasi on Facebook, or Khalil Maasi on Instagram. I'm the only one. Yeah, I'm not going to say that there's nobody trying to imitate me. We know we got a lot of scams out there.
Yeah, that's
But
right. That's right. And you guys know how to spell it because it's right there. It's right there on the screen. Okay, so you
Mhm,
guys got it, right? You guys got it.
mhm.
So one question I have: you guys hold like an annual, I think, Pan African Martial Arts
Mhm.
Conference. Is that right?
Yes,
Or
we have done it annually. It hasn't always been annually, but we've
okay,
done it. We did it annually. We did more than one actually in you know 80s and 90s. We would do several around the country a year. But then um, you know, for whatever reason, things stopped and slowed down, and we didn't do as many,
yeah,
throughout the years. But then we started to
COVID,
yeah,
COVID
yeah.
happened too.
Well,
So
even before COVID, because remember, we had been around since the 80s so long. Really, we had been around my father and his colleagues, and they began to develop this thing late 60s, early 70s. So, uh, but, you know, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. You were asking.
yeah, no, I see. So I guess my question more so when's the next one?
Oh, okay,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
if you know
So,
when's the
yeah.
next one, and tell us a little bit about what it's about. Like, what is the Pan African Martial Arts Conference? What can people expect if they are able to attend?
Yeah, so what it is basically about is people coming together to celebrate our African culture, our African warrior culture, to learn, to disseminate information, to gather, network, love one another, train, all of those things, and to continue to empower and educate ourselves. We have people come from various parts of the country or internationally, and internationally, I should say, who come, and we have teachers of different backgrounds, whether it be capoeira, we had the Tamarian brothers, we have our self Moyo Kazi, I remember back in the day, we had some of the Senegalese national wrestlers over back in the 90s,
Wow.
we have traditional people there. We have new African systems there now. We have people who are practicing karate or jujitsu, but who have an African mindset, and we're all coming together to train, to learn, and to build and to grow together.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, one of my goals and one of the reasons I kind of started this channel and what we're trying to do here is we are trying to bring more light and spotlight to African martial arts, but
Yeah.
not just not for no purpose though. I mean, the purpose I always say in my videos is to restore our Black cultural identity before slavery and colonialism, and so
Hmm.
it's meant as a so martial arts for me is just a vehicle. It's just a means. It's a tool that we
Mhm.
use, certainly for self-defense and protection, but more importantly to liberate the mind, right? And so
Absolutely.
it's not so much just about punching and kicking, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, right. So part of my goal is to bring like-minded, African martial artists together. And I know these things already exist. I like, for instance,
Mhm.
such as the Pan-Afrikan Martial Arts Federation. I know you have the Historical African Martial Arts Association, and there's other groups out there, 52 Block
Yeah.
Federation, and many other groups out there that are, on a similar path, although maybe not the same. And so,
Mhm.
my intent is to bring some more coming together. Again,
Mhm.
same principle, same purpose as what your father essentially
Mhm.
started. Because I think we're all on a similar path. So, um,
Absolutely.
so that's phenomenal. And so I guess I'm definitely excited to see where the
Mhm.
conference goes next and where the Pan African Martial Arts Federation is going next,
Mhm.
particularly in 2025.
Mhm.
Very excited to see what that looks like, and how we can get involved. I don't know if you can give us any
Mhm.
kind of preview as far as will there be opportunities for folks to get involved or participate online or in person to train, anything along those lines that you can give us a preview about.
Absolutely. In the long run, like I said, we are rebranding the federation. A lot of the details I can't give now, but we are going to be making a call out to our community to come join us or other organizations to partner with us. Let's build, let's lock arms,
That's right.
for the culture, for the history, for the people, for the youth. You know, we got a lot of work to do. For us, my father's legacy uh, was beyond just, as you said, the punching and kicking. My father, many people knew him as a martial artist, but a lot of people didn't know him as a social justice pioneer. He was heavily involved, and I'm using the term social justice because that's the popular term now. He was
Sure,
heavily
sure.
involved in the Black Power movement, heavily
Yeah.
involved in that. He protected several of our leaders. Okay, so for me, it's about, and he was a proponent and highly active and uplifting and building the community and young people and such forth. And so that's the legacy I carry forward, first and foremost. But also, there's going to be opportunities to gather coming up. I'm actually planning something February, in a few weeks, February 22nd online. I'm going to be promoting that harder in the upcoming days. You'll see an event, a Facebook event being put up in a few days. We're already on Eventbrite. So there's some things that's going to be happening around that. And
That's awesome. I want to promote too. I want to promote that. I
yeah,
want to put that on my
it's,
page. This is the first I'm hearing
it's going
about
to
it,
be,
so
yeah.
I want to make sure our audience knows about that.
Well, you know what
But
it has been? It's been a lot of noise out there, so it's kind of been hard. We decided to do this actually at an interesting time. And it was we decided to do this and promote this when the holidays came. And our people are distracted. So we realized that a lot of people don't know that it's going on. So now that we're a bit away from that, we're gonna like really do our heavy push. Well, we rescheduled it. Now we're gonna do a heavy push coming up soon. But also we have that coming up. That's an online event that we have coming up to talk about, not just talk, to teach, talk about African martial arts. It's gonna be a workshop as well. Going to show some exercises, techniques, and going to do a little soft sparring so that people can see what it is that we do. And it's going to be in real time. It's not going to be a demonstration, no technique. It's going to be actual live sparring, soft sparring, though. All
Sure,
right.
sure.
So that's going to be February 22nd. All that information will be coming up online. Khalil Maasi on Facebook and Instagram is
Yes,
where you'll
sir.
find it.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. So please,
Uh,
guys, make sure y'all follow. Make sure y'all follow, friend request, message. Okay. All right.
um, Also, we have coming up uh, April 26th. We have a major event that's being planned here in East Orange, New Jersey. Uh, Several things are happening. One, the whole weekend is going to be a martial art weekend. I believe the 25th, which is a Friday. Mr. Koba Mansa, the legendary Mr. Koba Mansa, who is in the lineage of Mr. Jaganji, will be making his American tour from April 26th, I believe, April up to the end of May. For right now, it might extend, but his first hit he'll be in he'll be in the Newark, New Jersey area, doing a workshop that evening, 25th, with Mistra Contra Mistra Amazonas, my sister. All right, was a great female capoeira mestre. All right, so
Wow.
then the next day, April 26th, we're kicking it off. We're kicking off World Tai Chi Day here in East Orange, New Jersey. This is the preliminary planning right now, so I can't give all the details. I'm
Understood.
working with the city
Understood.
hall. I'm working with the city hall and the mayor, and so I got and but World Tai Chi Day is an international event, and we're going to be participating in that. I do a system of qigong called Moyokazi, which was developed by my father, and is based on African knowledge and principles. Ancient, as well as there's modern day influences as well. So, as well, we're going to have other practitioners there as well. Kemetic yoga, tai chi, qigong, things like that. And of course, we'll be talking about it from African perspective and from our communal perspective. So that's going to be from 10 to 12. This is an international event. We're going to be hosting one of the sites in East Orange, New Jersey. After that, 2 to 6, we're planning a major martial art event. Uh, the mayor is planning, because he is a martial artist as well. We grew up in the same area together. Mayor Ted Green of East Orange, and his father was a martial artist too, who passed away as well. So we're doing a major martial art event here, inviting people in from around the country. And since Mr. Kobe is, I'm going to share some of my time with him for my demonstration, and that's going to be from 2 to 6. And afterwards, I'm planning to do a screening of his film, Jogo de Copa Body Games, which details his
Ah,
journey to Africa
very
to
cool.
to find the roots of Capoeira Angola. So we're going to do, and I might also do a short film that evening that I produced with my partner Natural Langdon and his cousin Damon Chambers, called Nikita, which is a short narrative that we produced with Copa Mansa in Brazil.
Now, now,
Uh,
now, you gotta elaborate on that, brother, because you just talking about you producing films like it's just a normal thing, you know. so, so tell us more about that, you know. So you're
normal.
producing
It is
films and
normal.
stuff too. Like, what's going
I
on?
mean, I'm an artist. I grew up in the arts
Okay.
community, so I'm a martial artist. I danced at one time. I sang when I was much younger. I have no voice now, and I've been an actor too. I've been in films and stuff, such forth. And then I evolved into producing, writing, directing. I've done stunts, so I've been around the whole. It's still a lot more to learn, though. I'm not trying to sound like you know it all.
No,
There's a lot
no.
more to learn in film. Yeah, I'm more on the artistic side, the writing and the producing and things, management, producing. I work with the editors and the camera people and the lighting as a director, so I know what's going on and know to tell them what to do. All those aspects you need.
I mean,
But
I think that's phenomenal because we need to get more of our message out there, more of our story out there. So we need filmmakers, artists, you know, writers, directors. We need all of the above. And I know that's something that, because I'm in the 52 Block Federation, and that's something Professor Mo is really big on as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I know he's got a few out there.
Yeah. So I'm just, anytime I see people doing stuff like that, I'm like, whoa, that's next level for me. That's like next level. I'm not there yet. I'm doing YouTube videos.
I appreciate that. It's not as, it is, you know what? It's not such a big leap as you think it is, but it is at the same time, because you can do it, but you gotta, you know, you're gonna make some mistakes. And you gotta be serious about it. You gotta be diligent. You gotta be about this life, because filmmaking life is not easy.
Oh, I'm struggling right now just with YouTube life. So, you know, I can't imagine film life. So,
but real quick, let me. But that's not the whole weekend. You know, the next day, Kobliman, so we're going to Mr. Jaganji's Academy in New York to go over there and train and spend time with Mr. Jagan. So it's going to be a beautiful way. Then from there, Koba's going to be moving around the country. So we'll be putting up that soon, as well as the dates where he'll be as well around the country. So that's coming up. And then the only other thing, well, there'll be several other things coming up that we're going to be putting out. But and I know also Mfundishi Tyra Cassell is planning a major event in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the Pan-Afrikan Martial Arts 40th anniversary. Our elder, who was our elder after, you know, the passing of our founders, so also is planning a major event to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Washington, D.C. And again, I can't get details.
Understood.
But it's sort of, if it goes down the way we're planning, it's going to be powerful.
That's awesome. First of all, I'm super excited to hear about all of these events because, you know, like I say, it's first I've heard about any of these, and probably the same for most of my audience. And so please, guys, if you're tuning in, make sure you guys please follow on Facebook. You know, shoot the emails, whatever you have to do to stay informed about the events that are going on. You know, particularly the local events up there, and you know, anything online. I'm sure you do online training as well for folks if they want to, you know, book you for like a one-on-one online training.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You know, we just need to talk. I need to know what you're interested in. You know, what your goals are, because those are things you need to know. You know, I selected who I
it's not for everybody.
Yeah, what's your expectations, all of that type of stuff. And what do you want? You might need a specific. Martial arts is a medicine. It's like medicine. You know, everybody does not need the same thing. You know, and a lot of times we get into this cookie cutter idea of training. You know, go do my jujitsu, and I'm going to do my Muay Thai and my body. That might not be for you. Your psychology might not be. That might not fit your psychology or your physiology. What is meant for you? You know, based on your structure, you know, your mindset, your environment, where you live. These are the things that the ancestors studied when they went about their warrior training. They did, because they could not participate in a cage. They climbed mountains. They fought marauding tribes. Their whole concept of what martial arts, a warriorhood, you know, a Montu hood was totally different than what we do. We when you go online and look at these conversations or MMA, and he said, and it has anyway. I'm sorry.
I know. No, that's great. But
you have to study yourself and know what you're looking for.
That makes sense. So on that, can you tell us a little bit about Moyo Kazi, particularly because a lot of folks, like if you come from Asian martial arts, like myself, I did a lot of, you know, kung fu and, you know, kickboxing, stuff like that, and I never really got into the softer forms of martial arts or the energy forms of martial arts. And so, you know, tell us a little bit about Moyo Kazi and, you know, some of the benefits that you've received and some of the benefits you think that, you know, folks can expect if they, you know, obviously train it properly.
Well, Moyo Kazi is my father's system, one of the systems he developed. But he developed Moyo Kazi, then we developed a system together afterwards. I'll go into that. But Moyo Kazi came out of the Kupigani and Gumi experience. All right, Kupigani and Gumi, in the early days, it was Kupigani and Gumi Pan-Afrikan Martial Arts Federation. And Kupigani and Gumi was the term that they were using at the time in the earlier days when it was more African-centered thought and, uh, still practicing the Asian martial arts, but beginning to draw in information about culture and history and various practices to integrate into the body of what they were doing already. So that was Kupigani Gumi in short. Again, the study of African warrior culture and Black warrior culture
Yeah.
around the world. Moyokazi developed out of that was a continual further development, whereas Kupigani and Gumi was seen as maybe a style or organization. Moyokazi was our personal school,
Mm.
and where each school had, even though we were a body who collectively studied and researched our martial contributions, each style developed in their own manner and what they did, based on their interactions, what they had access to, and such forth. Moyokazi um, was heavily influenced by the Bantu cosmology,
Yeah.
uh, which was the centerpiece of. As my father began to study the African warrior traditions, he was drawn to that, the Bantu cosmology and how it was related to a warriorhood and martial culture, but even more beyond that holistically. And so that began our study and our development into Boyokazi, which is a internal system of martial art. All right. And it's hard and soft because there is soft internal, there is hard internal. All right. When I was working with you, we were doing more of the soft.
That's right. Yeah.
I was letting you know it could get way more intense. And so, in any case, there is a history, ancient history of martial internal practice. As we know, when we look at the reliefs or the hieroglyphs on the walls of ancient Kemet, Beni Hassan, and we see the pictures of the warriors grappling that they say they know that they are at least 5,000 years old. There are also relative reliefs in various areas of people practicing the internal practices of yoga or smaitawi, as Shira Hotep calls it, our Kemetic yoga
That's right.
instructor teaching. All right. Um, and you see various postures and signs and symbols that give information on the internal practices. So, my father, in his having again been able to do comparative analysis in his earlier training under Asian masters in the internal systems, was able to decipher these things, studying the Congo cosmology and sciences and Kemetic, and developed his own system as well called Moyokazi, which was based on actual traditional knowledge, or coupled with modern practice also.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and so, just like the Tai Chi, Qigong, and those systems, we hold postures. These are ancient African concepts, like this one up here behind me on the wall. This is a power of posture. All right. These are ancient African. These type of things were taught throughout the Congo and East Africa and West Africa and Kemet and beyond. You know, uh, I've been given permission to show you this.
Please. This is why we're here. Honestly, this is why we're here.
All right. How many people recognize this posture who study Tai Chi or Qigong? All right. Let me turn it to the side. This is a
Yeah.
person
This is what
standing in a squat position, right,
hmm
with his arms up like this, holding the meditation posture with an extended belly, which represents what we call chi, right? Or we call Ngolo, which is a Bantu word, or Ase, or Sekum, or Prana amongst the Indian. All right. This is your culture. You usually see this in Asian culture, y'all, right?
That's right. That's right.
This is
That's
your
right.
culture. This is rarely seen.
You guys got to take
I'm
notes.
showing you
Take
something that is
notes.
real. All right. We're not just making stuff up. There is an ancient culture of energy cultivation and warrior tradition that comes out of Africa. And we didn't make it up. I'm sorry, I gotta make sure I put this thing down properly. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
We didn't make it up. The information and the evidence in here is there. So that's what Moyo Kazi is. It'd be hard to explain what it all is in this one conversation, but
Yeah, I understand.
it's a system of internal cultivation and empowerment that can be used for healing or for combat.
So I definitely want to get to the other system that you mentioned that you and your
Mhm.
father developed together. But first of all, I just want to say that I love the creativity, but beyond that, just the spirit of Sankofa really is what it is. The
Mhm.
spirit to go back and retrieve that which was lost, right?
Mhm.
That both yourself and your father embody that
Mhm.
spirit. And um, I just think it's phenomenal because I feel like we, because of history, because of all the things that have happened to us as people of African descent,
Mhm.
I feel like this is something that we all must do. Like we can't just rely on one or two, yourself and your father who've done phenomenal work, but it can't just be you. I mean, we all have to do this kind of work where we go
Mhm.
back for ourselves, follow your
Mhm.
example, go back
Mhm.
for ourselves based off our knowledge and wisdom, but also go back to our traditions and
Mhm.
glean from that, what can be applied to today.
Mhm.
And so if it's something that we need in our life, in our community, right, in our
Mhm.
family that doesn't exist, as
Mhm.
African people, we do what? We have to build it. If it doesn't exist,
Mhm.
I'm gonna build it, but I'm gonna build it
Mhm.
based off the work of our ancestors. And so that's
Mhm.
what you and your father have done. And I think that's just first of all phenomenal. And that's something I
Mhm.
feel we all have to do. Doesn't have
Mhm.
to be in martial arts. It can be within any area. But
Go back
I
and
do.
catch it.
Yeah,
Simcoe.
absolutely. Yes,
Mhm.
sir. Absolutely, 100%. And so, but I do want to hear more about both the system you and your father developed, and also any
Mhm.
other, martial practice that you have a passion for, that you enjoy teaching, or you feel you want to share with others.
Okay.
Because I know there's multiple systems you've studied
Okay.
and trained under. So,
Mhm. Well, let me say first and foremost, before I talk about this system my father and I developed, I want to say there, as you said, there, it can't be just be my father, and it's absolutely not. There are many out there. I want to reiterate that again, whether it's Mfundishi, Mrithi Siraj Mfundishi Talonan and his legacy out there, which extends from his father, whether it's Akira Masuyi, whether it's from the Duncan brothers, Ronald Duncan, we can go around the block and talk about all our great legacies. And any name I forget, 52 Block Federation, we got to all come together and work together. We see the time we in right now. All right,
and
straight.
yes, sir. And that's the thing, right? And I think with this generation, right? With this generation, if it's not on TikTok, if these brothers
Mhm,
don't have a TikTok or an Instagram or
mhm,
YouTube or something, a lot of us are not aware of that, right? Are not aware of
mhm,
our greats,
mhm,
or their example. And so, as many examples as we have, and warriors as we have,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know, we always need more,
Ain't never enough. It ain't
That's
never,
right.
you don't
That's
see another
right.
generation coming up from behind to take over from the last.
Absolutely.
Right to passage. Yeah. Now you were asking about the system, Neo Ngolo, or New Ngolo. And it's just basically we're practicing Ngolo, and we want to make sure though that we don't give any type of idea that this is not something that has not been synthesized. Uh, that we've worked on to add new elements. And don't even know I can say new elements because there's some who say that it was always there. That's a whole other conversation.
That's
But
right.
what happened is that as I was going through doing some of this research information, I was going through my earlier years as a kickboxer, and I was considering going into MMA at that time. Some things happened in my life didn't go that way. That's another story. Um, but in any case, I was using the training and my father's research in our school as a laboratory to see how that all that worked together. The kickboxing and the boxing and the Muay Thai would work with the capoeira and the Bantu influence martial arts and the stuff I was doing, the Hati Kalindi, and things
Right.
of this nature. How did this all mesh together? So my father and we just started to call it Neo Angola, New Angola, because we were adding influence, and I was using it more in a combative nature than you would normally see. And in the capoeira, I was using it more closer to what you would see in knocking and kicking, if you're familiar with that,
Yes, sir.
or
Yes, sir.
52 block or anything that was more, inside fight and combat,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So, with the level of rhythm and style and science that we use, and so yeah, it's evolving. It's still evolving out. It's still evolving as I go forward and train. But that's what it is. It's just basically Angolo influence fighting. You
I
know.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. And that's what I was curious about as far as the combative aspect of it. Because usually when we think about the energy, soft
Mm-hmm.
styles of martial arts, we
Hmm.
think about, very slow, soft movements that,
Hmm.
that are, at least on YouTube, it's very hard to apply. At least, it seems like it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was curious about the more combative aspect of it. And, but I do think that's phenomenal. What I do find is that a lot of us, because of the prevalence of capoeira,
Hmm.
I think a lot of us who are going into African martial arts definitely certainly
Hmm.
pull from
Hmm.
capoeira, because it is the most accessible. And then of course we may, integrate other influences through our research and things along those lines, whether we,
Hmm.
blend in, the 52 block or some other systems that we've learned, that are
Exactly.
African centered, which I think is an amazing thing. First of all, I think it's a beautiful thing. Again, going back
Yeah.
to that creativity. So
Mhm.
I'm just excited to hear about that because
Yeah.
we just don't. At least I don't. Again, I'm just speaking for myself, and I think a lot of our audience, because a lot of us are just not educated. There's many, a lot of folks in my audience know a lot about African, martial arts and Alkebulan Montu. So I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would say
Yeah.
the vast majority of us, just as people of African descent, we just don't know much about our culture. Period. Whether we're talking
Hmm.
about martial arts, we're talking about our languages, we're talking about our history,
Hmm. Hmm.
you name it. And so it's great to hear these kind of stories, and I feel like we need to hear more of them.
Well, for me, that's what it's about.
Hmm.
Ultimately, the fighting and stuff, cool. That's, we need that. We need to be strong and healthy. We need to work out. We need to defend ourselves.
Yeah,
That's our constitutional right.
that's
Um,
right.
but then what else is there to the martial art? The character building,
That's
the
right.
building of the mind, the expansion of the mind, the healing of the mind and the body. Also, your connect to those of us who have a divine relationship, your relationship to divine. I'm a Babalao in the Yoruba tradition. I'm also a Congo initiate. So to me, this ain't just okay. I'm all the way in deep. I'm not just throwing some punches and kicking. I'm practicing an ancient African warrior tradition. The Congo tradition is a warrior tradition, a spiritual warrior tradition. Ifa is a spiritual warrior tradition. Ifa was a wrestler. For those who, let me be clear, Arumila, prophet of the Yoruba tradition, was a wrestler who traveled the continent to study uh, 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 religion and spirituality, and that was how he developed Ifa, as well as the divine uh, connection that he received. but he also was a wrestler. He had to wrestle. Why? Because he was traveling around Africa. He had to protect himself. He's a warrior. He wasn't just some priest sitting there going, all right. Uh, Shango, who was an actual human being, now the fourth ruler of the Oyo kingdom, was a warrior who ascended to divine status. All right. Ogun, our term for martial arts. Ogun means war. It also means medicine. And it also the name of the divinity of war and of iron. All right. These are warrior traditions and warrior energies. These are divine energies that we have inherited from our ancestors. The Bakongo teaching teaches us this, as well as Ifa, as well as several others around the continent. And the Bakongo teaches us that we are descendants of the Most High, and that we are connected to the Most High and to the divinities through what they're called biogenetic ropes, the DNA chain. This is also demonstrated in the Yoruba tradition with Obatala, who created human beings who came down that chain. All right. I could go on and on. I could talk about the Kong, who also talk about the ropes to God. It's the same concept. So what this is demonstrating that we are connected divinely, and these things that we call martial arts are really start part of a larger set of attributes and skills. We're just focusing on punches and kicking. What we are really teaching is superhumanism. We're teaching human evolution. Now might sound crazy to a lot of people, but this is what we're teaching and studying. That's what martial arts was. What were these people doing? They were fighting armies and fighting animals and leaping over stuff and doing incredible things. They were superhuman. That's what the martial art teaches you. But not just to fight, but to develop your immune system, to be resistant to all this stuff that's out here, to develop your mind, to be resistant to all this stuff out here, to develop your character as a human being, to do amazing things. But they tell you, don't be woke, because they want to shut that down. They don't want you to understand the divine God that's inside you. I'm a yoga priest. Let me tell you from another aspect of Christian. What they say, Psalm 82, verse 6, you're a God because you're the children of God. I know I'm going somewhere where people didn't think I would go, but that's what martial arts is to me. Martial arts is divine to me first. All right, this is a divine gift that our ancestors left us to teach us how to live and survive in this world, in this society. And it's not just punch and kick. So I went on a spill just now. I'm sorry, but I get
No,
very passionate about it when I talk.
brother, you dropped a ton of gems in what
Mhm.
you just said, and there is so much to unpack. And I just wanted you to, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought whatsoever, because what you just said, what you just gifted us with, it really is the most important aspect of anything that we do. And I try to relay that, to my audience, to my students.
Mhm.
It seems difficult for some of us to grasp the transition from the martial to the spiritual. There
Mhm.
shouldn't be a transition because they are one and the same. But I think for a lot of folks, it's difficult for them to grasp that. And so, from your perspective, particularly why is African-centered spirituality so important to us
Mhm.
now as an African community? And again, I don't care about terms. This is not a politically
Mhm.
correct channel. So
Mhm.
whether people call themselves Black American or African or
Mhm.
Hebrew, or I mean, we got all kind of more. I mean, I think there's
Yeah.
separate topic. There's a whole identity crisis going on. But my point is, why is that African-centered spirituality so important to us as an African community?
Um, I really don't like speaking about us like that because we're so diverse.
That's
But I
fine.
understand. But I understand your question though, and so um, for those of us who are searching for ourselves, where do we came from? If you don't know who you are, you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. If you're looking for a personal form of personal empowerment, you know, a deep connection to your ancestors, those that came before you. and what it is that they have for you, that they still have for you, to empower you and help you move through this world today. It's a very powerful thing. Let me say this. Why do I say that? And it taps back into the martial art thing too. Science today is talking about how the body retains genetic memory. All right.
Yeah.
There are things we know and that we do and ways we act. Like for instance, when I look at my nephew and I talk to him, who reminds me of my older brother who passed away, and I look and I be like, now how did he even start doing that or say that or think that? Because you have been passed down something genetically and spiritually. All right, we have a genetic heritage, that the ancestors are waiting there to give us. Also, in the term of we get rid of in the terms of so how long ago did slavery exist here? 400, 450, 500 years ago, somewhere around there, right?
So 18,
So,
yeah, 1860s,
so,
right?
well, not even just the official, but we know,
Yeah.
it's been estimated around 400 or so years that, that some of us were born here, and some of us were here already.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Absolutely.
But in any case, in terms of talk about ancestors, it's said in the Yoruba tradition that it takes about that same amount of time to reincarnate. If those who are into that, I know I'm jumping quickly.
No, you're good, brother. You're good. No, we're tracking.
It says that it takes that amount of time to reincarnate. So, what's very important to understand in the concept of we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Those who understand have heard that statement before. We are the ones we've been waiting for. For those who understand African tradition or any tradition that deals with reincarnating, we are the actual reincarnating ancestors who have gone through the Myafa, the African Holocaust, and we have reincarnated now in this time that we live in, and we have work to do as we see right now on the planet on a major level. So for me, that's why African spirituality is important for me specifically, even more so because I am a Babalawo. I'm an African priest, first and foremost, before even a martial artist, before being a person who participates in Ogun, war. I'm an African priest, and my name in the Yoruba tradition is Awo Shangalari Awotunde Karade Fakoyode. Now, Awo means priest. My middle name in the Yoruba tradition is Awotunde. Tunde means to return, to reincarnate. It was divine that I am an actual reincarnated priest who came back during this time to finish the work that I didn't do or that I needed to continue. The same tradition that exists in other traditions around the world, like Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, and all these other Hinduism and such forth. We have the same type of principles and same type of scenarios. And actually, according to our research and knowledge of history, theirs come from us. So we are reincarnating priests who have come to finish work and to do work during this time that we live in. Those of us who are knowers and believers.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you so much and really interview you, because it's one thing for folks to hear it from from me. I'm 40 something years old, but I really feel a sense of we need to hear it from and I know when I first met you, I'm calling you Baba, and you told me not to call you Baba, so just out of respect, you know what I mean? But
I don't mind telling my age or anything, bro. I just turned 58 in January.
Right. And so I mean, we need your wisdom is what I'm saying. Like we need that, you know, our generation, my generation, and certainly the younger generation, we need that. And so like, you know, I want to create a platform and a place for our babas to share that, you know, because we need to pass that on, because I feel like we're always kind of reinventing the wheel because we're not building on the work that's already been built, you know. And so um I just
Wow.
appreciate you being here and sharing that, because I want that to be passed on. None of us are here forever, and so my goal is to make an impact beyond my lifetime, right? And this is kind of my mission, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't build if you're just thinking about building within your finite lifetime. You have to think 400 years from now, 500, just like you talked about. We are the ones we're waiting for, right? We have to build for 400, 500 years from now. We can't just think, okay, this one lifetime, right?
That's what they're doing. That's
Exactly.
they,
That's right.
what everybody else is. They didn't just come up with this stuff that they're doing right now, and the government, and I don't want to get too deep into that right now. But they're not just coming up with this stuff. This is stuff that was planned. You have to have a plan. Okay, yeah, we talking martial arts. You're talking. Okay, see, what is martial arts? Martial arts was named after the Greek god of war, Mars. Mars means military. Okay, that's martial arts. Okay,
That's right.
yeah. When you have, and I'm not talking militancy. I got to make sure I say things like that when I'm on air.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Because I'm a man of peace. I'm a Baba Lao. We are not allowed to engage in conflict
That's right.
unless it is brought to us.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is this: but a military mindset, an organized mindset. You know what I'm saying? A martial mindset. We have to develop that. You know, we have to develop that as a people. You know, we're going to move forward. All right, and this thing we call martial arts is oh man, it's sometimes it's hard to get out the ideas and expressing the level of the value
Yeah.
of what we have and that we're missing, you know, and what we're not paying attention to right now. You know, my father used to say that we're scattered and shattered as a people. You know, again, and this is from the martial mindset. Okay, this is, you know, he was heavy. I don't know if I'm going directly. I'm answering your question directly or not. Am I?
You are. You
Okay.
know, it's fine. It's fine. Absolutely.
Okay. He was heavy towards the end of his life into the healing aspect of the martial arts because he had seen what, you know, the level of trauma that we had developed as a people through the Maya, through Jim Crow, through the Civil Rights Movement, Black Power movement, and then all the trauma we're still receiving. So towards the end of his life, the past, even further the past, you know, the 20, 30 years before he passed away, he had been working more on the healing aspect because he saw that we needed that as a people.
Yeah.
And so he began to, I would say, well, it's even better for me to explain it this way. He wrote several books.
Okay. There you go.
All right. He wrote this book here, The Awakened Warrior, Mindful Practice of Awakening. This is the last book that he wrote. All right. And it deals with the condition we are in as a people today. It's a pamphlet, really. It's a workbook. All right. It deals with the condition we are people in today and how martial arts and mindfulness can pull us out of the situation that we're in. All right. Deal with the trauma that we're facing as a people,
Yeah.
dealing with the healing issues that we're facing as a people, you know, and it provides a guideline on how to begin to heal from that trauma using the internal martial arts. And this is just something that we need as a people right now. Um, I can speak from a personal viewpoint with my family and what we went through, and you know some of my story. whereas my older brother passed away 2 years ago, and my older sister passed away 2 years ago, and my father passed away 2 years, nearly all around the same time. Prior to that, my younger brother passed away 10, 11 years ago, and my mother 20 years ago. All of this was based on trauma that my family lived through, going through, and this is what I believe, going through, coming out of the Black Power movement, and then the various trauma that was visited upon us as a community and as a society. And my father lived till he was 80 years old. And I believe the only reason why he made it to 80 was because of these practices, because of the trauma, the level of trauma he received going through. I could start with Laos. You know, Laos was the war theater before Vietnam, but I could go back further to being a young Black boy growing up in North New Jersey, you know, single mother, incarcerated. Most people don't even know this is the first time I'm saying this on air. Incarcerated at spent 9 years old, spent 3 years in the youth house. You know, came out, ran the streets in Newark, had to go move to Harlem. You know, and from Harlem he went to the military, came back, got into the martial arts, joined the Nation of Islam. You know, experienced, you know, Minister Malcolm being murdered, got into the Black Power movement, was in the Newark Rebellion, and such forth, so on and so on. So he received a lot of trauma over his years, but he made it to 80 years old because of these practices. Some of my family members, because they didn't continue to practice. You know, this is very painful for me to say, but this is real. It has to be said because of what we're talking about or what we need in our community. And we have to be transparent about some things. Some of my family members, the ones who passed away, stopped practicing for whatever their various reason. And in that trauma, I believe, from what I know of their health situations, took them out. I believe the only reason I've received massive trauma in my life too. And I think the only reason why I'm still here is because I continue to train. So we now when we look at what's going on, what we just went through with COVID, what we just went through, what we're going through now, and all the pressure and the stress and the strain on us, we need to be paying careful attention to ourselves and our bodies. This is martial training. This is very important. Most of us are not going to be in a fight. There's a lot of threats out there, but when was the last time you've been in a fight?
Yeah, like schoolyard. That was it, like schoolyard, right?
The other person, as much as they may fear it, the idea of it, or ever they're rarely going to actually, it's maybe around you, and it may visit you randomly one day. Hopefully not, but most of us go through most of our life without actual any conflict. So what is the martial arts for? You know, outside of even any cultural value, which, you know, it is to ground ourselves, empower ourselves. And I know I keep coming back to this because this is what it's really about right now. We don't have our health. We don't have our vitality. You know, we have nothing. We have nothing. You know, what are we fighting for? What is the struggle about if we don't have our health? You know, very, very important for us to get on top of our health, on top of our power, and on top of our superhumanism, you know, and get bigger, better, and stronger than all these things that are going on around us. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm taking that message personally, brother. You know, I think, you know, even though I'm you know, just over 40, but I feel like, you know, when you're young, you think you're invincible, right? You don't think you need to pay attention to your health. You don't think, especially as men, especially as Black men. I mean, we're just, you know, we're not very good with that, you know, typically. And so for me, I need to take that personally, and like, no matter how young you are, like, we need to make sure that we're eating right, that we're you know, exercising, and you know, because age is just a number, but you know, health can decline at any age, and what we do now at this age really has lasting impacts, you know, as we get older. And so I just encourage our brothers who are watching, you know, to take this advice and really to pay attention to what you're putting into your bodies, you know, into your mind, into your spirit, right? And really take care of your health. Yeah, I think we can't hear that message enough. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. It's very important.
Absolutely. So again, brother, I just want to thank you so much for your time. We're coming up on about an hour now, a little bit over an hour, and just your wisdom is appreciated, because, like I said, we need more of that. We need to make sure that the wisdom from our elders is passed on and passed down, and is recorded. You know what I mean? And it doesn't just go with them. Whatever age, right? And that we have this legacy that's beyond our lifetime. So.
I'm still tripping over the elder thing, but I'm cool with it.
If you're okay with it, if you're okay with it, I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
no. I don't mean that negative thing. I joke a lot, bro.
It's just for our audience. You're one of our elders, because most of my audience is fairly young. Maybe 30s ish. I think is the average, and so. Most of us are at that age where we do need to hear from our elders, because not everyone had a father like yours. I think the majority of us didn't have a father like yours who was able to train us in and teach us in the path, of knowing who we are. You know what I mean? Most of us grow up, we have no idea who we are as African people, and we spend most of our life trying to figure that out. And so, I'm grateful that we can pass on the lessons from your father and the lessons from you that can extend beyond your family. You know what I mean? To a broader audience that needs it.
Yeah. Well, before we go, I want to say something though to that, because like Malcolm X said, just because a cat is born in a oven doesn't make it a biscuit. He said something like that, right? And so, and that's very important. That Africanness is inside of us. And there's a movement right now to get people to stop claiming that. Look, if you're on this planet, you came from Africa, no matter where you ended up. Some of us are indigenous to here, but it didn't start here. The information and research show that there was a travel here. All right, so that's where it starts at. And the thing about this martial art thing is that even though the oldest records are in Kemet, that's not the beginning of martial arts. Martial arts starts inside of you. That's the origins of martial art. We have a genetic, and I started talking about that earlier. We have a genetic memory inside of us, a coding, all right, that was placed inside of us. Martial arts is nurture and nature.
That's right.
It's inside of you first, and then you find a teacher or you find people to work with, and you start to mold and build the body and the mind and forge it. But it starts in you first. A cat already knows how to play like a cat when it comes out, and it continues to play to become a lion. I say a cub becomes a lion. The same thing with us. You ever notice there are certain things that we do automatically or cling to or get like, whoa, these are natural. That's because the coding is inside of us. Ancient African wisdom teaches this, and modern science is teaching this right now. We have to reclaim that thing inside of us. And the reason why is this. It's always talked about how when the invaders came to Africa, the first thing they took away was the language, the spirituality, the religion, the culture. No, that's not the first thing they took away. Those things were important. First thing they took away or banned was the warrior practice. Most people don't realize that. They did. Why? Because when you disband the warriors, you have no one to protect the village. That was the first thing that was taken away from us. So we have to reclaim that back. And to either further expound on that, the reason why is this. My father teaches about, from another perspective, the Japanese society and how he says, was almost bombed out of existence in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right.
And these are things that happened in his lifetime when he was a young person. And they greatly influenced his mind, helped him become who he was. And he said that what they did was, they realized they were defeated physically at that point. But they took the spirit of the samurai, the spirit of the warrior, the Budo, And they put down the sword and they picked up a pen.
Yeah.
And they went into the boardroom, the classroom, the corporation, and they created a whole new world and society, and they rose from the ashes to where they are at today.
Yeah.
We have the same legacy of warriorhood to draw on. We can do the same thing. We just have to be willing to sacrifice and do it as a people. Our warrior heritage is in us, and it is our divine right. And it is the key, what many don't realize is one of the keys to our salvation. That warrior spirit. So,
Well, brother, I just want to thank you again, and I don't have any other words. I want to leave it at that. I want to leave that as kind of our final thought. There's nothing more I can really add to that. So yes, what is that there you holding up?
Spiritual Warrior, one of my father's books. It's on Amazon.com. This book deals with the esoteric principles of martial arts from a universal perspective, a comparative analysis between the Congo principles and the Asian martial cosmological principles. This is something that has never been done before, but my father, because of his expertise and knowledge of the Asian martial arts principles in his study, he was also a voodoo, initiated into voodoo, and his grandmother was Obia, who was born with a veil over his face. So he had been in African spirituality tradition his whole life. But he also was initiated into Buddhism. So he understood the two cosmological energies and understood how to do comparative analysis. So that's what this book is about: comparative between African and Asian not cosmological principles. Breaks it down to you from the African perspective. Waking Warrior 2 was also online, the one I just spoke to you about. All right, dealing with how we can heal ourselves through martial meditative practices, is empower ourselves and relieve ourselves from some of this trauma and move forward as a people. And Bando Monk system. This is from his earlier days in the Asian Burmese martial arts system of Bando. In the practice of Ming Zen, which is another internal martial system that he studied under Dr. Monji. So they're all out there. You can Google them and find them. And and I'm Mfundishi Khalil Maasi at gmail.com, and I'm Khalil Maasi on Facebook and IG. And the rest of those things I don't mess with. But
Yeah, I'm the
LinkedIn,
same way.
LinkedIn too. Yeah, LinkedIn
Well,
also.
Well, I
Yeah.
tell you what, we're gonna do better. We're gonna put all of that in the description of the video below, guys. So please check out the description, all the links, the emails, the Facebook, the book links. Please go. I'm gonna go out right now and purchase those books right now. Okay,
Wow.
so
Thank
please
you, brother.
go out and do that. We're gonna put the links down in the description, so you don't have to think about it. Just click the link, pick up the books. Right? It's super simple, super easy to do. And you gain a lot of wisdom and knowledge from doing that. So I'm always gathering books because that's our legacy, and I learned a lot through that. So please, guys, please support, but not just support our dear brother here, but support yourselves. Okay, that's the point. It's for you. Okay, it's meant to empower you, and that's what it's all about. So,
Hey, I want to thank you. All right, and I thank you and I appreciate you, man. And let's keep supporting. Let's keep supporting the brother. All right, because of the work that he's doing. We got each one reach one, each one lift one up. Ubuntu.
Ashe. All right, brother. Thank you again.
Yes, sir. All right.
The purpose of our organization is to start right here in Harlem, which has the largest concentration of people of African descent that exists anywhere on this earth. There are more Africans here in Harlem than exist in any city on the African continent, because that's what you and I are, Africans.